up, everybody? Today we are going to talk about the Atlanta shooting, 2021 Atlanta. It's like officially called the 2021 Atlanta spa shootings, and this happened a week ago. And so a little backstory about me, my friend Michael, and my friend Jay. We've actually been trying to figure out a way to start a podcast that would focus on Asian American identity, Asian American culture, Asian American issues. And as we're trying to figure this stuff out, this thing happens and we're like, holy crap, like this is like the very issue in which we were trying to tackle with wanting to start a podcast, you know, with the Asian hate crimes that are happening in our country right now. It's just nuts how it's gotten to this point during the pandemic. And it's as an Asian American, I feel we're kind of like double fucked, you know, with the pandemic, COVID-19. We're already fearful of COVID-19 and all these things that are pandemic related. And now we're also facing a rise in Asian hate crimes. And it's just, I think
know
it's Atlanta like, spa shooting is just like the pinnacle of it now.
Not to say that the Atlanta spa shooting was, good or anything, but it was kind of like a reminder that like, this is why our Asian American podcast is so important. Like we need to basically speak up right now, and it's never been more important than ever. And these really tragic events are a reminder why what we were saying is important, I think, in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So for those of you guys that I guess haven't caught up on the Atlanta spa shootings, if you're living under a rock, it's happened March 16th. So as of this recording, it's a week ago. And 8 people died, and these were all at like massage parlors / spas in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And there's like a lone gunman guy. He's 21 years old, young guy, it's a kid. He's a kid, goes into these spas and starts shooting at the place, killing 8 people. And majority of the people, 6 of the people were Asian women, and hence the Asian anti-Asian sentiment here. And yeah, all in 3 hours. Everything unfolded in 3 hours. I actually was reading up on this thing. I find it fucking crazy that this guy, he was parked outside the parking lot, right? He was in the parking lot, parked outside for an hour before going into the massage parlor, all right? And he goes into the massage parlor. He's in there for an hour before leaving. And then once he leaves, that's when the first police 911 call happens. And so I was thinking, like, was he at the place for their services for a whole hour before actually doing any sort of crime? Or I guess if you're there for like sex services, I guess that is the crime to begin with, and then he does the shooting. But it's so weird because then, so the idea is his motive, at least what he says is the motive, is that he's a sex addict and he wanted to get rid of temptations that are around him. And he's been known to be a patron of these types of
which I think is bullshit, by the way.
You think it's bullshit? Why, Jay?
Because that's the media spinoff, isn't it? That's not how it really happened. They just kind of threw it out there immediately after the incident happened, and there was no specific investigations of sorts. They were saying that he was yelling, "I'm gonna kill Asians," and then they have the nerve to fucking label it as like a sex addiction.
Right.
Well, fuck yourself, man. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
The sex addiction part is from the shooter's mouth. Like, that's what he is saying. And then the Asian hate crime is kind of like, well, if you frame it up to what's happening in the world, and most of the victims are Asian, it does come off like an Asian hate crime. And then, yes, you're right, Jay. I think I was reading somewhere, one publication did mention that one of the employees that got away said that the shooter was shouting, "I'm going to kill all Asians," something to that effect.
Yeah. I think that was recorded on a video or something as well, wasn't it? Like, did you guys hear about that?
I haven't seen
video proof of him saying that.
Maybe I read wrong, but I did read that comment that it was caught by either a witness probably a witness, because if there was a video, we would all have seen it by now. But it
Right.
was
And
probably
it
a
would pretty
witness.
much
Yeah,
say there would be no debate about
that's
the
true.
Asian hate crime
How can it not
thing.
be an Asian hate crime?
There was
It's
6 out of
there's
8 Asians, and he was targeting
yeah.
Asian spas. And to me, that is just indicative that he is targeting Asians. And it's like, it might be his sex addiction, but these two things, in my opinion, are incredibly linked. And so it's like, you can't have one without the other.
True. I think it's both. So like, so this whole shooting, there seems to be a competition in terms of what the proper narrative is, right? In terms of media, like the portrayal of this thing. So
So
there's on one end,
disgusting.
it's sex addiction. We got to be fighting. We're anti-sex workers, and we got to get rid of these kinds of brothels or massage places that give these types of services. And then on the other end of the narrative, it's it's COVID. Asian people are having an increase in hate crime incidences, and this is the worst of them all. And I think it's both. I think
I think
like
it's
what Michael
both.
is saying, like it's like you can't have one without the other in this circumstance, because like maybe he's not wrong. Maybe the shooter wasn't lying that he has a problem, and he goes to these places and he's trying not to go to these places, but he lacks the self-control, and he's just impulsive and he keeps going, and it's causing him problems in his life. Not saying that isn't true, but I don't think that's the full story, and it's kind of like,
Can I ask you something, Casey?
yeah, uh-huh.
What do you think the media would say if the races were flipped? If there wasn't if there was an Asian guy going around and killed like 8 white Caucasian women, do you think they would spin it the same way that they did to us? I don't think they would.
They wouldn't. They would actually. They would. You're saying that
They
they're.
would.
Are you saying that they right now they're saying it's not an Asian hate crime, and that it's because the media is saying, certain media places are saying it's an Asian hate crime.
I think
After
they're
the
saying
fact.
it now
Wild.
because they've been called out about it so many
Exactly.
times. But like in the
Got it.
beginning, there was all those media outlets saying, oh, this was it was motivated by sex addiction. And then even that what the police chief was saying, like, oh, he had a bad day or something.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's
Right.
bullshit.
I think if it's flipped the other way around, it would actually be the same. It wouldn't be, oh, it's the Asian guy was trying to take out white people. That would not be the headline for sure.
What
You know
about
why?
all
Because it's happened
the
before. And the Virginia Tech shooter, if you guys remember, we were still in college. I was in college, I remember. And some Asian guy at Virginia Tech killed, I don't know how many people on campus. And I remember thinking, oh man, why did he have to be Asian? Like that looks bad on Asians, and now people are gonna look at me like I'm funny or whatever. But that didn't really happen though. It was just like this guy was just nuts, and he was just out to get people because he felt oppressed for whatever reasons. But like the racial thing wasn't really investigated as much by the media. And then I think in Santa
The
Barbara,
Santa Barbara one, he was
yeah,
Asian too.
he was half Asian or whatever. Yeah. And they didn't really make much of a headline thing out of the whole Asian thing. But the bigger part of it was he was after sorority girls. And so the bigger narrative about that was the sex thing. Or incel thing. It was the fact that he couldn't get girls. And he was mad at women.
I remember the whole incel thing, taking front stage, but maybe because we all know that he is Asian in both of those instances, then, at the same time, they were making a point about that because they clearly wanted to paint a picture that this person was Asian and, an incel. And I think that is a certain type of media portrayal that, isn't helping.
That's true. That's true. I think the Asian hate crime thing and the sex addiction thing is that, like, someone, like I was reading somewhere too, like an expert was saying that there's an intersection of racism and sexism in terms of this Atlanta shooting. And that on one end you have the backdrop of COVID-19, and there is this idea that that the narrative is that Asians are responsible for COVID, right? On another end of the spectrum, then there's like this woman hating, this incel culture that's pretty prevalent too, especially on the internet. and then and people that are prevalent in this kind of community, it seems like the narrative is that they frequent places like this too, and there's this hatred towards women and objectification of women. And if you combine these two things together, you kind of think about how Asian women are portrayed in the media, how Asian women are portrayed in movies, and like examples of how this is done. Movies like Full Metal Jacket, Miss Saigon. It's like they're always like the
"We love you long time." That line.
yeah,
From
yeah. They're
Full
like
Metal Jacket.
they're subservient.
Austin Powers.
Austin
Yeah.
Powers, yeah, it's always subservient women catering to the need of men. And do you think that has anything to do with maybe in particular this shooting, or just in terms of how we subconsciously view Asian women?
I think it's a lot more rooted than that, man. I think it goes back a lot further. I think it starts with like the immigration aspect of cheap labor, how like America was founded by a lot of like slavery in Asians and blacks. Like we like built the railroad, but the fucking pictures all is like all white guys hammering down some railroad spikes and shit like that.
Yeah, and
You know,
like the
and
Asian
they
people are like off to the corner, like
and
I
it's
feel
just
like we're always extra dirty as well in those pictures, and it's like you can't even tell who is who. It's just like, oh, it's like those Asian people over there just dirty working, and
historically
it's like pretty damn sad. But
historically they use us as scapegoats.
yeah,
Historically, it's fucking it happens every fucking time, and this time is no different. Just like how history repeats itself, this is exactly that. What the fuck did Trump say when he said China virus and Kung flu? That's is scapegoating because he fucking failed. He failed, and then he's putting the blame on us, just like how he fucking American history did.
True. I think what Trump did definitely, I think it sped up this narrative, right? Like, I mean, I think the racism, if a racist is going to be a racist, it's gonna he would already have the joke Kung Flu in his mind or whatever. But the fact that a president would say something like that, it expedited it shot the racism up like by
but the fact that he can't even compute what kind of aftermath what like that will cause. That's of a mind of a fucking 6-year-old.
True. Or the mind of a person that's never really experienced racism. I think there's a lot of
exactly.
And I'm not saying like white people are bad or anything, but I think there is a lived experience that I think a lot of white people don't comprehend. Like they want to emote, they want to understand, they want to
it's hard for them to
be on the side of people of color or whatever, right? But they're just missing that lived experience connection to really understand.
I would say the best way for them to understand is like if they actually go live at a different country that they don't speak another like like their language, and you live like that for about like a year.
You'd have to go somewhere that looks down upon white people too, then, like and not look down upon white people, because like think about it like this: you go to like a place like Japan, like I've seen it. Like Japanese people,
there's a lot of racism in Japan.
They worship
there's a lot of racism,
white people. They worship like the Western culture to the point where it's different. It's like it's not like get your Western culture out of here. We want to stay Eastern. It's like the Asian countries welcome Western culture, whereas in the West, there's a sentiment that there's some people that don't want to welcome Eastern culture.
Hold on. There's a lot of racism against African Americans in Japan and in Korea, and there's even racism against Asian Americans in Korea. I fucking dealt with it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like they know that you're different, and then once they know, like they scan you up and down, they give you judgmental looks, and I felt super uncomfortable. And I don't know, man. Like racism's everywhere. Like I can't say that it's just here in America. No, I felt it in Korea. I felt it in fucking France. I felt it in London. I felt it in fucking Singapore. I felt it everywhere. Everywhere against every fucking color.
Do you think that's racism, or it's just people not sharing a similar narrative? Like, I
think they're tied together.
Racism?
I think it's tied together because it's like when you look at someone differently from yourself and you treat them poorly, it's just based off that difference, and then you've like also otherized them as well.
Well,
And
is it
then they kind of
racism when, like, say, Jay, you're in Korea, you're of Korean descent, you're born in Korea, but you don't have Korean, you're more Americanized, right? And culture and how you've lived your life.
Sure.
Korean people being mean to you, bullying you, looking down upon you in Korea, is that racism then?
That's hard. I don't know, but it's
'Cause
definitely
you could
like,
apply that logic to,
but it's
different
stereotyping.
people or races.
Hold on. It's stereotyping though.
Yeah.
You're stereotyping based on some information that you don't know about.
True.
Why can't you treat everybody else like how you treat your family and friends?
Very
Despite the
true.
color, despite where you come from, why? Why do
That's
you need
very
to
true.
stereotype? I don't understand.
Fear.
So
Fear
I think it's
and lack
fear.
of understanding, and like, it's like, I love this quote. I say it all the time. It's from Batman Begins. And what you fear, or you'll always fear what you don't understand, or some shit like that. And I'm like, oh, that's so deep. It came from Batman. But I think that's true.
I don't know if I can say it's fear, because
Do you think it's malicious then?
no, it's their choice not to look into it. It's their choice. It's their pride of like, no, I'm gonna keep it the old way instead of looking at like what is now, you know. And if you really look at it, it's like Eastern and Western culture like clashes, right? And I don't know. I can't say it's racism, to be honest, man. Now that I think about it, but
I
it's
mean, maybe it is because they're associating you with America, and you know, there's that whole history of, you know, Asians being impressed in America, and when you go
it's
back
just
to
weird,
Korea,
man. Yeah,
you're associated with that, and there's, you know, an anger. It could be. I don't know.
it's weird because, you know, I'm in America and get called chinks, get called gooks, whatever, China face, go back to your country, all that bullshit.
China face is a new one. I never heard that one.
I go back to Korea and the discrimination is kind of similar on a
American
different level.
face.
What did they say?
It's not what they say, but it's like how they look at you, how they do this, like it's very
like, not one of us.
like rolling their eyes like after making eye contact with me. It's really strange, man. And I don't know, I just felt out of place everywhere I went, right? And
True. I mean, as a Chinese American myself, I feel the same way. It's like you don't really fully, you know, there's moments in your life, such as, you know, the moments right now with all the anti-Asian hate crimes and stuff. It's like you don't feel fully American, but then, you know, like from all the experiences I've had traveling, you know, back where my parents are from in Hong Kong, it's like I don't fully feel like I belong there either. You know, they definitely look at you like, oh, American boy. Oh, you know how to speak my language? Surprising. Wow, good for you. And it's like kind of like, come on, dude. Like it's like it's not, it's I can speak your language. You know, there's half of my culture is part you and part them, you know, and it's like, why is that so hard to understand, you know? But that's my lived experience, you know. To them, it's like they've only been in one place, or like an American that's only lived in America. They can only really understand that from their perspective. So I don't know. It's hard. It's like I can't blame them, but yet at the same time, it's like, come on, why can't you just try to understand? Why can't you try to be like, just walk in my shoes, you know, and not be so like.
Do you tell them that you're American or you're an American-born Chinese? Because I get the same thing sometimes when I've been in Asia, and it's just easier to tell them, oh yeah, I'm American. And the moment I say that, they have this like realization go through their mind where they're like, oh, okay. And for me, after that, like when they say things like, oh, it's really cool how you can speak Chinese, like I'm not that offended by it, because it's like, well, I grew up in America. I learned this language in college, and you know, I'm here trying my best, and I'm personally not that offended that they're treating me like this. And the fact that I can just communicate with them, like, you know, but maybe that's just me who, you know, is.
Were you born in America, Michael?
I was born in New Zealand, and then I lived in I moved to the States when I was about 4 years old, and I've lived here ever since. And growing up, I spoke mainly English, and I didn't really know any Chinese until I got to college, where I made a focused effort to learn the language. So I feel like it's a very different experience. It's kind of like, oh, cool, these Chinese people saying like, oh, you could speak Chinese, and to me, like, yeah, that is a little bit weird, but like at the same time, I'm also like, oh, cool, like I know where I began and I know where I am now, and I definitely come a far way.
True. You know what? I think you're right. I think I don't know if I take it offensively when that happens to me. If there's a part of it, it's like, that's right. I do know your language, motherfucker. It's like kind of like I earned some shit like just then and there. But but on the same note, there's like a part of it's like, come on, I just want to
Practice.
practice, or I just want to I want to be in Hong Kong and order food and not be like always having to explain that I'm an American, or like have like this like reaction of like, oh, American boy, it's like, it's always like the first thing that comes to mind. It's as if you're meeting someone like a white guy in America that's
Oh
never
man,
seen an
I
Asian
gotta tell you,
person, and the first thing they say to you, it's like, oh, you're Asian. Like, what's, it's like, oh, I like Korean barbecue too. And it's like, that's
dude,
your opener.
I think it's super different in China and Korea, man. Like just
Oh, yeah.
culturally, like how, like I firmly believe how Chinese and Korean view America is a little bit different. You know what I mean? Even
what's the difference?
Go on.
Go on.
I want to know. I want to hear. I'm super curious, actually.
Okay, what's your translation of America in Chinese?
Middle Kingdom.
Middle Kingdom?
No, sorry, that's
No,
China.
beautiful country.
Beautiful country, yeah.
Beautiful country.
Yeah.
Beautiful country. That's even right there. You guys are putting America on the pedestal in a way. You think it's the way that like opportunity and success is achieved there?
Yeah, it's the land of the freedom.
Yeah,
land of
I don't
opportunities.
think. I don't think growing up we never had that type of like categorization of America like that.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
What's the Korean word for America? Super curious.
미국?
Oh, same.
미국.
That sounds like in Chinese.
It sounds
in Chinese,
like
it's
beautiful country as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you feel the sentiment is different from because what I was saying about how if a white person were to go to a different country, most countries, with the lack of a better word, like worship white people. Like there's like this fascination with white culture, or a European culture, Western culture, to be specific. And they're kind of like they don't look down upon Western culture like the way
I don't know about
an
that.
Asian American could walk around and be looked down upon by Americans. You know what I mean?
I see hints of racism, maybe not towards Caucasians specifically, but like I see it with like African Americans, like in Japan, and even like how they portray them in the media. I see it. It's fucked up, and I think what you're talking about, Casey, how they stereotype us in a way, but in the flip side, right? Like with the white people, like I think that happens in China with like action films. When you look at like the main bad guy, it's like this one specific white guy. Right?
Yeah, and then they're always grunting and like kind of barbaric in nature.
Right. And if you kind of like look at it that way, then it's kind of similar all across the board.
True. Very
and
true.
I love America because like I have so many like Asian American friends, and it's like a bibimbap of fucking everybody here. You know what I mean? But I can't say the same when I go to other countries to work or just to visit. Like it's just weird, man. Like
for sure. Like in terms of travel, other like European countries, for example, they're definitely a little behind on like the racial like discourse. Like they're not up to date, I guess, with in terms of how America has handled everything. And I've been to Croatia, and in Croatia I was greeted with a lot of these, like just a lot of them, and my initial reaction was I was appalled, I was offended, and angered. And I remember just in spite of that, I said, and it's so stupid, like looking back at it, I'm like, what a moron, Casey, you are. And I said, howdy, just in spite of the fact that they did this, just to say, like, I'm not this, you know. I'm born in Texas, raised in America. I'm fucking American, you know. You don't gotta treat me like that, you know. And that's how it initially made me feel. But I reflect on it from time to time because it actually does, like it did cut, and I do reflect on it from time to time. And now I look back at it and I'm like, well, they're in Croatia. They don't have the same, you know, social discourse that we have in America. They are primarily surrounded by other Croatians, and for all I know, they could have just been trying to show some respect because, you know, if I wasn't Asian,
Sure.
in fact, I am Asian, and I do know that, you know, historically, this is something you do for respect. This is a respectful thing. Kung Fu people go like this all the time. You know, like monks go like this all the time. It's like you bow your head in respect. And I was like, okay, if I remove the mockery of how people do this all the time, and I just look at maybe they've seen it in a movie, right? And I'm thinking, and they saw another Asian person. Maybe they were just trying to communicate on a level that they understood, you know?
Maybe.
And
Maybe.
so
It
maybe it
depends. It's
wasn't
case.
mean.
It's
Maybe
by
it
case by
wasn't mean.
case.
It is case by case. You're right.
It's
And
you.
so
We can't
it's
group this
hard,
all into one thing.
and it's hard to, yeah, it's hard to throw a blanket statement or blanket like it's like now like with all the anti-Asian hate crimes too. It's like there's, you know, people are trying to figure out laws and stuff. What constitutes a hate crime and all this. It's hard. It's very hard to throw a blanket solution on something,
Yeah.
because like a law would have to be a blanket solution in some regards, you know, like, and there are going to be certain examples that kind of fall in the cracks. You're like, well, technically based on this law, however it's constituted, is a hate crime, but maybe the motive really wasn't in a racially discriminatory reason, but just whatever happens, you know what I mean?
But if you use that kind of like language, it becomes a hate crime. Doesn't matter what your motive is from the beginning. If you start calling people chink and start attacking them, that's a fucking hate crime.
Yeah, well, that's
it doesn't
just,
matter. It doesn't
that's
matter.
also just assault on
well,
humanity, but yeah.
But if you're using like racial slurs and shit, that you're taking it to another level.
Right. No, for sure. But I think this is what this conversation is, the debate in terms of this conversation is all about. Like, you go to Asia, and our experiences with our own like our own ethnicity of people, we could be treated under the same context of what other races could be treated as hate crime or racial like discrimination, but because it's our own ethnicity, it's no longer a racial discrimination. You know what I mean?
Are you saying that if another Asian person
Like you were
attacks
what you were
another
saying,
Asian person?
Yeah, well, no. So the name calling by far is the most revealing, I guess, for a racial hate crime, right? But the more nuanced ones is what I'm saying. Like, how do you regulate the more nuanced ones? So I asked you, as a person of Korean descent, going to Korea and facing discrimination, is that a hate crime? Is that a racial hate crime? You know, and how do you regulate that?
I don't think it's a hate crime.
Because it's the same context as if an American, like a white American, would go to Korea and maybe face the same discrimination. You know what I mean? And it's hard to distinguish.
I don't know.
I guess
I think that's the debate. The debate is hard. It's very hard to know what a hate crime is. So right now there seems to be.
Before we go further though, like, I guess because you're asking Jay, would you constitute some of the things that he's experienced as hate crimes in Korea? I don't know if I would call them hate crimes. That's a very extreme thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a hate crime.
But he's definitely getting, some sort of discrimination and maybe, based off stereotypes, which is really shitty because he shouldn't have to go through that. But I don't know if I can call it a hate crime because it's like, they're giving him like side looks and treating him like a second-class citizen. But at the same time, they're
what
not
I'm
killing.
Mhm.
what I'm saying is I'm not saying that when Korean people look at other, Korean Americans and they're like giving them looks and shit like that, I don't think it's a hate crime, but it's a similar fucking
Racial discrimination, maybe.
discrimination. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
still the same fucking thing, and that's
Mhm.
what I mean by they're being a hypocrite.
Mhm.
Like when that's what I mean. Like when all these races are looking at other races and saying like, well, you guys don't speak this language, so you are not like up to par with us. That's the same shit I feel when I go to fucking Korea, right?
Mhm.
And other Korean people are looking at me as if like I don't fucking know their language. And it's like, yo, I kind of speak your language. I know what the fuck's going on here. I'm not a fucking idiot.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'll talk you down to the table if it's fucking English, like
Mhm.
what I'm trying to get to is that you have to treat people like fucking fairly as a human beings.
Right.
And
Right.
when it becomes racism, that goes out the window, it feels like. When you're attacking elders, when you're
Mhm.
attacking fucking women, with their fucking they can't like sometimes they can't defend for themselves because you're
Right.
hitting them from the fucking back.
Right.
How dare you guys do that?
Did you see the one where the old lady actually fought back and swung a
Yeah.
bat at the guy?
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
she's
so
fucking
fucking
G.
badass. So fucking badass. It tore my heart apart because she actually spoke Cantonese, so I actually understood everything she was saying, like from all the footage when they were on the street and they're like cops finally arrived and whatever. And
Yeah.
she was saying like, "Oh, that guy was bullying me," and she just started crying and like, oh, man,
It
like
really
it's
angers me right now, man. Like,
yeah, and it's like to see someone like that, like there's a lot of like rhetoric online too, when they don't understand like, oh, just because they look like you or whatever, and it's like yeah, like I don't know, like there's like this idea that people look down upon the exploration of like that could have been my mom, that could have been my grandma. Like it doesn't resonate with some people, and I find that really disheartening because
okay.
people they don't have the empathy to
Can I say something real
uh-huh.
quick, man? Like I felt the racism really stark difference when I learned English. When I was learning English, right? When I was learning English when I immigrated, I got a lot of fucking racism. And as soon as I learned English and then like I started defending myself and my parents, that's when it started to go down a little bit. That's when they started to treat me like a fucking human being.
Because you
And
defended yourself and you spoke up and you're
yeah,
showing them that you can't mess with me like this anymore.
and I see that happen everywhere, man.
Mhm.
Like people looking down at another people because they can't speak another language. But it's like, dude, like you can't speak their language either.
True.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
so what the fuck are you guys doing? Like,
It's their world view is very small. It's very narrow, and if someone doesn't share a language, you kind of look at them like, or
They're
these people look
dumb.
at those people like they're dumb. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, like let me slow down and talk to you. Do you understand me? It's
yeah,
condescending as fuck, but at the same time, I actually kind of do that from time to time too. Like even with my own family members, I go to Hong Kong and like they're like trying to speak English to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, they want to practice, so I'll speak back to them. I actually find myself actually slowing down my talk too, and I'm like, oh crap, what am I doing? This is what white people do to me.
I feel like it's the
It's fucking
equivalent of
funny.
talking to a child is, what
Yeah,
goes
yeah,
through our
yeah,
head in
yeah.
those situations. But I mean, it's hard, but I feel like at least you're catching it. And, I don't know if they do or do not, but they may appreciate the fact that you're speaking slower to them. But I mean,
Mhm.
I feel like in this instance, it's a little bit different just because it's like, they're your family and we're trying our best to help each other
True,
learn.
but that
But
actually brings like now I'm thinking about it. I mean, like that's also hard to know the difference. How Okay, but what you could argue like maybe body language or whatever, right? But in the context of the situation, but it's like, how do you know if when they slow down to speak to someone that's an immigrant, doesn't know English very well, how do you know that is mockery or them actually trying to help the person understand better?
I
It's
feel
a
like
you.
you
big,
I think
don't know.
you can tell. I think
Yeah,
you can tell by their body language, by
Mhm.
how they're speaking to you, especially through their eyes. You know what I mean?
Okay,
There's
yeah,
a
yeah.
difference. There's a
Windows to the
difference
soul.
between There's a difference between when somebody's trying to like sincerely trying to help you as opposed to mocking you. There's a fucking big difference.
Mhm.
There's a big difference. Like, yeah, I don't
Or you
know.
just feel you feel shitty when they're mocking, and it's like in all the subtle ways you can't quite pinpoint exactly what they're doing, but you feel shitty as fuck.
Yeah, like when they're laughing at you about your, that's when it becomes real.
it's
Like,
like when you walk away and you hear them snickering and like,
yeah,
he just got
yeah.
such a bad day. We ripped them off.
That's true. That's
It's
true.
but yeah, it's sad because it just takes just that little bit of like going forward with your fucking empathy. That's it. And people just don't have the capacity to do that right now. And it makes me question why. I don't understand. Like these people that attack elders, like how would they feel if we went pushing their grandmas?
Oh God, I don't
You know
know.
what I mean? Like, why would
Yeah.
they not even think like that? And they just like straight up attack them from the back. Like, how petty, man. How petty are you?
Yeah. I always think
Small.
about it. Like for me, like I always try to not empathize with these types of people, but I try to understand their thought process. I try to like what goes on in your life and what builds up in that day that when these types of things happen that leads you to do something like that.
I feel like it goes back to scapegoating, like Jay said. It's like, they're angry about a lot of things in their life. Maybe the pandemic happened and then lost their jobs, or even before the pandemic happened, maybe they weren't doing great in life. And conveniently for them, now we have their leader Trump blaming Asians and saying all the different racial epithets in the news and Twitter. And it's like, well, they were looking for a way to lash out on someone to feel better about themselves. And well, Trump made it just so easy for them he put a target on Asians' back.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah, like this what is this guy? This guy's name is Robert Aaron Long.
It's also really shitty that we all knew the guy's name.
Yeah, I don't know the victims' names. Actually, there's a lot of GoFundMe's, and I think one of the victims, their son, he was only trying to raise $20,000, but they've managed to raise $3 million by now. And
this is the one with the two sons, right? The
sons, yes,
the two sons,
yes.
yeah. Like when I saw that picture, I was so sad. Like it almost made me want to cry. Like, and I'm sure a lot of people did cry. But it was just so sad thinking that those two boys are not going to have their mom anymore. No, I was so sad.
It's very sad. Yeah, we'll provide some links for the GoFundMe's and stuff in the description here.
The fact that these people were trying their best to make a living in the most difficult way, and I don't think it's their choice, but they just were into it. They just happened to be in it, right? It's so tragic that they have to be taken away like this. Like it's with and the fact that people aren't taking that much accountability is the most fucked up shit. That's the most fucked up shit. That fucking cop that said it was a bad day, man, you better fucking apologize. You better fucking apologize.
He related to the suspect. He was like, I see myself in the suspect. Dude. He was protecting him through his words, man. Did you know they actually took him off the case and they also found anti-Asian or anti-China sentiments.
They had COVID-19
Trump stuff as well.
China.
Yeah.
Man, fuck that, man. Are you fucking serious? Like you're gonna put Facebook posts about some dumbass shirts that someone else designs, and then you're gonna go up on stage in front of all the Americans and say that bullshit, dude. That's what I mean by racist people on the top here. It just trickles down, man, and it's like, where do you stop?
Yeah, racists protect other racists. It's pretty fucking nuts, man. Pretty fucking nuts. But yeah, like the shooter guy, he from what I understand is that he just got kicked out of his parents' house because he has a sex addiction and he watches porn for like hours.
It's probably lots of Asian porn, I bet.
Maybe. And his parents have had enough of him, kicked him out of his house, their house, the day before the shooting. So that's kind of like the shitty.
So this was his retaliation?
This was his retaliation. Yeah, at least that's what's been reported about his narrative, like what he was going through in his life, right? And he's also been through sex therapy or some shit like that.
So this guy is gonna basically say, I went on the retaliation because my parents kicked me out because I had a problem.
That seems to be what he was lashing out, man. Fuck him, he was lashing out.
You should have lashed out on your parents.
Exactly. That would make way more sense.
I'm not saying to kill your parents, but like, why don't you talk to them? Like, why do you need to take it out on innocent people? Like, what the fuck?
Right. right? Or just have a little bit of accountability for your actions in terms of the problems that were there before he killed people. Those problems needed to be contained and dealt with, and he just didn't have,
Yeah,
he didn't have the necessary mind to do it, or I don't know what the fuck. But
like okay,
this guy's a weak ass motherfucker, man.
so let's go back to what you were saying, Casey, about
Mhm.
like the ages of media and how we were been portrayed over the years,
Mhm.
right? Starting with the Full Metal Jacket shit. That
Mhm.
kind of paints a fucking shitty ass narrative for Asian Americans going forward, right? Of how we should be treated.
Mhm.
It's fucking 2021 now, and I hear people fucking call me Ching Chong. I hear other people like calling like other like Asian like female friends of mine really derogatory terms, and it's like, dude, are you fucking serious? Like,
What needs to happen to change that?
well, the whole fucking media landscape needs to change. They need to start not objectifying Asian women like this.
Mm-hmm.
They need to have a more diverse cast in terms of like what is acceptable in America. Just having like white and like white people in power, like you see the power dynamics just in media, man. Like it's just kind of fucking everywhere. You know,
Right.
that portrayal of like what we feel and what we see is literally up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that needs to change.
That's true.
And
I think for me, getting very specific about how Asians are being portrayed, I think the first and foremost thing that needs to happen way more often is having Asian characters speak fluent English,
yeah,
not
and
broken by
Yeah.
any means, and also with westernized names. And I'm not saying I don't appreciate ethnic names. I'm just saying, as an Asian American, we all majority have westernized names these days. Even in Asia,
I
there's a lot of
think like
westernized names. But like, if you have a name that's like, Wong Fu, Wong,
Productions.
something, it's like, dang, it's like you kind of you held back a little bit in that regard. And anytime another character refers to that character, you're calling them by this ethnic name. There's like a separation in terms of the
I don't
culture.
know if they should only be called Western names, because it's like that
I'm
feels
not
like
saying it's not an absolute. By no means is it an absolute, but I think there should be a focus on that. And then I guess more importantly, the language thing. Like,
I do agree with
fluent
the
English.
language thing, because it's like, if you think about it, if we watch Chernobyl or something like that, you have a bunch of British guys playing Russians, and they're not speaking in Russian, they're speaking in English.
Mhm.
And it's like, why can't we have the same thing too, where it's a bunch of American Asians, maybe they're playing people in Asia, but it's like, this is an American show, so let's have them speak English. And it's like, there are ways that we can go back to the fact that this is they're actually speaking Chinese or Korean or another language, right?
so the sort of cut in, Michael. I saw a show that actually did this issue right, like meaning like how do we portray Asian American people or just Asian people in general in American television or in American media, right? And like Wes actually got me onto the show, and my other friend Stella, she told me to go watch like Warriors, right?
Yeah, the
And
Vietnamese
Yeah,
one.
yeah, and
I've seen one. Yeah, that's a good show.
and at first I was really not wanting to get into it because I didn't like the idea of like having that stereotypical like kung fu Asian man, da 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 da. But man, these characters are fucking dope because like I could relate to it because they fucking immigrated here, they're trying to make their own fucking life, whatever. But they do this thing where when they're talking with each other, they're speaking full English, right? And then
The first transition was fucking sick.
that was dope. Yeah, they
Yeah.
do like a wrap around like 180.
Uh-huh.
And then once they get out of that like whole full frame of like coverage, then they go into like what the Americans see when they're with these Chinese people, and then
Mhm.
they speak like Chinese amongst each other. So
Yeah.
you have like these like they're basically breaking down the barrier for I think American audiences.
Yeah, they
You know what I
basically
mean?
like they're doing the work for you by honing into inside
Yeah.
that world, right? The Chinatown
Yeah.
world, and now you're in that culture and you can actually understand it.
Man, if anybody is if anybody wants to know what it's like to be Asian and American, that is a decent show to kind of get an understanding of like
Mhm.
that those use of like go back to your country, China, all that bullshit. Like, man, it's really good. But I don't think we should be hiding where we're from, where we came from.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
True, that's important.
having just that like American name in Asia, Casey, I don't think that's the right way. You have to
Mhm.
like you have to be
Yeah.
proud of where you come from.
Mhm.
That doesn't change the fact that you're here. Like everybody's an immigrant if you think about it.
Mhm.
Even Americans, like unless you're born here,
Unless
obviously,
you're
right?
like a Native American or indigenous people here, but that's
Yeah.
like very few.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think the names are maybe it's my own personal projection then of like how it sounds to me
Mhm.
and how it can be mocked, you know what I mean? And I think maybe there's like a personal scarring there that makes it feel cringy when I hear Asian characters with like Asian names, you know?
Did you get picked on with your
Yeah.
name
Oh, of
before?
course. Of
Like
course.
how did it happen for you?
Yeah.
It's one of those it's happened on so many occasions where I don't even know the details of any one particular instance. And
Would you get
it's
into like
so
fights or
no, it's just random. It's just like you're at school, for example, you're just walking in the hallway and someone just walks up to you and is like, long dak dong, and then they ha 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 and they walk away, you know? Like literally just that. Like there's no context. There's no
It's like hit and runs of
conversation
racism.
about it. There's no back and forth. It was just like, yeah, hit and run. And it's just random. Like there's no details to even convey other than most of them are at school and they just happen out of nowhere. And you're just
And
kind of
of
like,
course, these
great.
people are always like, "Oh, Casey can't take a joke if you get mad." I feel like that's the
True.
go-to defense that they always use.
True. No, I don't even know if they even cared.
were they
if
your
you got
friends
mad.
or were they friends of yours or just randos?
Okay, so I think you can kind of divide it into two categories. There's randos and then there's friends, you know. And then the friend ones, it's like, you know, it's like they
Pause. Is it white friends or Asian friends? Like what?
white friends.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think I've ever had an Asian friend that
Asian
that does that to you.
Give you a racial slur.
Very, very uncommon, highly uncommon.
I'm trying to think like
Usually
I had a
white.
lot of Korean friends growing up when I was in elementary through high school, and I'm trying to think of any one time they made fun of me for being Chinese. I can't either, you know, like I mean I know they made fun of me for some other reason.
It's very rare Asian on Asian crime. That's very.
Jay,
that's
I know
sure.
I know why you're laughing at this because I'm gonna tell everyone, but like so my name is Michael Chu, and then in Korean Gochu means penis. So I got made fun of a lot by Koreans for having, you know,
I wasn't even thinking about that.
Michael Chu.
Basically my Gochu, so like my penis, like and you know, I think I cried in 5th grade, you know, because there was this one kid who just like kept them going on, and I was just having such a bad day that day.
Oh,
and then it was so embarrassing that like the teacher made him basically apologize to me outside.
Yeah, damn straight, man.
That is Michael,
damn straight.
Michael,
damn straight.
That is, I feel bad. That's so sad. Yeah, that's fucking hilarious. Oh shit, Michael Chu. That's funny.
I feel like I got over that ever since, you know, that Korean kid apologized to me. I
Did
still
he
remember
apologize?
his name.
Oh, that's cool.
He did because the teacher made him. And
how old were you?
We were in 5th grade. So what is that, like 9? Casey, I know you have a Isaac. So how old
He's
is
13?
I don't even know.
13 and 7th. So let's work it back. 13, 12, 11. 10.
So we were
10.
11, 10 years old, and like, you know, from like the time that I started elementary school in America, I had actually never heard that until I went to this new school where there are a lot more Koreans. And then from the moment that I like, you know, went to this Korean school, all the Korean kids are looking at me like, ha ha ha, that kid's name is Michael Chu, ha ha ha, so funny. And like at first I didn't understand what they were talking about, obviously, because I'm not Korean. But then, you know, quickly the joke caught on, and then they all realized that I was also not Korean, because it's a little unlikely that if I had Korean parents, they would have given me this name. I don't know. Maybe they would have, maybe not. I don't know. But
yeah, they wouldn't.
It's funny to think about.
They wouldn't. They would not name you like that, bro.
Like maybe they would have kept that in mind when, you know, like my mom was pushing me out, and just, they would have been like, yeah, we shouldn't call him that because he's gonna get made fun of by countless Korean kids. But I feel like that may have been more specific to my name, but as for actually being Chinese, I was never made fun of by the Korean kids for being Chinese. It was just my name and the fact that I had this my penis name in Korean.
True.
I got slapped in a school bus in like 7th grade. Was it 7th grade? No, 9th grade by a kid in 11th grade.
Oh, what the fuck?
He slapped the shit out of me. Just like, bah! And I was like, chink, and then just like left. And I was like, what the fuck? And then like he hit me in the back of the head too. Like he's like he was like a regular at the store, and he didn't like my dad. And then like, man, he was just, and then I got into a fight with him once, and then I was with 2 of my friends, and then there was 3 of him, or not him, 3 of them, and then both of my friends, Caucasian friends, like bounced when we started fighting. I saw them like a fucking football yard away, just
left you all
just
alone.
tiny, and I was like, God damn,
Traitors.
these motherfuckers are not my friends.
Oh my god!
I got my ass handed that day, bro. Just like
Dang.
kids stomping on my glasses, like.
Damn, that's mean.
Did you get your revenge?
Kids are mean.
Nah, I don't do revenge, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't do that shit.
No Tarantino moment.
Nah, it was one of those things where I think at that time I was used to it. You know what I mean? I was really used to it, and I remember after that fight, I remember going to my Taekwondo master and just crying and saying that I wasn't like strong enough and shit. And they taught me some like back kicks and shit that day, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is like cool."
You were
I
like,
mean, there's a silver lining though.
teach me the way to kick ass. Like you became that movie storyline.
But even he was telling me like fighting is not the way. Obviously when you do martial arts and
But you know what? There's a silver lining to you fighting though. I mean, yes, maybe fighting isn't the proper way, and
Fu is not
it's
the
violence
answer.
should never be the way, the course to go. But the fact that you stood up for yourself, the fact that you're kind of not cowering down, that's a statement piece right there, man. That's a statement. That's a testament to a character. That's a testament to your ability to defend yourself. It doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be physical. It could be any other way, but takes balls to do that, man. It takes balls to do that. And I think it takes balls in any capacity of standing up, to oppression and stuff like that. And I think we need more of that. We need more of those types of balls, because so many times I think I've never been in a fight because I don't think I had the balls to fight.
I feel like you would. I mean, like I've seen times when someone's really pissed you off, and what you do, Casey, is you get up really close into their face and try to make this like aggressive, motion towards them.
Well, no,
I've never seen you throw punches before.
I seen it. Let me tell you about Casey.
I know what story you're talking about.
I want to hear about this.
I know exactly which story you're about to say.
All right. So me and Casey and AK and Wes, we lived in Tujunga when we first moved to LA, maybe like 10, 12 years ago.
Which is like the boonies. It's like
the boonies,
far away.
And Casey had his parents over a weekend, I think, and he was outside in the living room area, sleeping / pissed off.
Pissed off.
A little bit pissed off. I could tell that he was not having the best weekend.
There's a little bit of agitation from the week, from the girlfriend, and then I think the parents being over, hosting them. I think there's just a lot of agitation, just all that combined together. Yeah.
And silly Jay, he thought he was cool. He thought he could be fun and quirky at that time, and he had a Nerf gun, and then he aimed it at Casey's balls, and then just like popped one. It hit him in the balls directly, point blank. He got up. His eyes were fucking white. His people were tiny. He looked at me and then he went, and then he fucking punched the ball like the wall behind him, and it fucking left like a huge hole in it, man. And after that, I was like, I'm never gonna fuck with Casey. I'm never gonna piss this motherfucker off, man. Never.
Oh shit! You
I
shot me
feel
in
like
the
you
balls.
just like any
You
other
shot me
day
in the
you would have gotten
balls.
away with it. I feel it was just that
Yeah, my
one
bad,
day
my
that he was
bad.
so pissed off. He had so many things to deal with that just bad
Yeah,
timing. But
yeah,
because it sounds pretty like silly, and you guys were friends, right?
yeah.
True.
That was the one thing I thought I could bond with Casey. You know, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be
You
silly
shot
with
me in the
it.
balls.
Yeah, he did
While
not
he was
like-
sleeping.
I'm sorry, bro.
It's all good, man.
I'm so sorry, man.
I think it's fucking hilarious. Honestly, it didn't hurt that bad, but it's if you ever been like just even like tapped in the balls, it's like that feeling. It's just it's an agitating feeling. It's like I don't know about you guys, but for me, I see red instantly.
Yeah, I
If it's
broke
if it's
Casey.
not painful enough to just go down in pain and I can still like function after that tap, yeah, I see red. I don't know why, but
I was young. I was stupid.
you can see it both two ways. Either A, I reacted that way because my parents were there and everything that was going on, or B, we didn't get into a fight because my parents were there.
Casey, if you get a Nerf gun, I'll give you a free shot. You know?
All right, I'm gonna get the most powerful one.
Some of those
Yes.
Nerf guns are
And
really
air pump
powerful.
it
I feel
extra.
they could cause a lot of damage.
Let's get a cheap generic one. You know, like not with the compressed air and shit.
not with like the nitrogen, it's like not
No.
an AKA paintball gun in a Nerf gun body.
Uh,
But wait, what did your parents say after they heard you smash the wall, Casey?
I think my dad came out. He's like, "Are you okay?" And then he was like, "What happened?" And I didn't say anything. I was just like, "Nothing." And I just kind of like walked it off. Yeah, I
Casey's
think
dad's
that's
you just
scary,
like looked
man.
at you just looked at the wall, and he's like,
Yeah, he saw
looks
the
at the wall as
hole,
well,
and he was
and
just
you guys
like-
just had a moment of like Chan aggression, understanding.
Yeah, I was just like, just let's just not talk about it. Let's just let it go. And they're just kind of like, all right. Oh man, awkward moment for the ages, man.
I was walking on eggshells that week. Just
That's funny.
hey Casey, you cool, man?
No, you're good, man.
Are you
How did
you
you
gonna
guys
work?
get over it or get back
Hey,
to
Casey
being
gets
friends
over
again?
things really quick. Like,
Yeah,
he
I
doesn't
don't hold
things in.
grudges. I don't hold
Yeah.
grudges. I actually don't know if I hold any grudges. I get
Casey's probably
angered,
the
and then I try to understand, and then I'm like, okay, maybe it's that way. I don't know.
yeah.
So maybe you went back and were thinking like, oh, maybe I deserve to get shot in the balls.
No.
Exactly. That's the very
No.
reasoning I had in my mind.
Oh my god.
It's like I guess I was, sleeping in the living room, had my legs open, and like I guess I was asking for it. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
It was just a very inviting, shoot him in the balls moment.
It's like maybe I shouldn't have got Jay that Nerf gun.
No, when I pulled the trigger, that's when I regretted it. As soon as I pulled it, I was like, shouldn't have done that.
Like, haha, great
Yeah.
idea, great idea, great idea. Bad idea, bad idea.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever gotten in a fight with like an actual fist fight? I mean, other than the one that you had, Jay, or where you got?
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know if that would count as a fight, but like,
I know. I
You got
got into
oh, yeah, okay.
like lots of fights growing up. Yeah. That one, I tried to do some taekwondo kicks on them. They were boxers. They just whooped my
Oh.
ass, bro. Like, yeah, I learned the hard way not to fight boxers because
You learned the first way not to fight 3-on-1 with two people who are or to have two people who are gonna ditch you in the moment of need.
yeah, that sucked. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I mean, the fighting stuff is not really the issue. It's like I think it's the right afterwards. It's like, do you diffuse it with that person and now that you got all your aggression out, or are you gonna just stay like that and then just like leave? Like that's one thing I always kind of think about when I get into fights. Because
That's healthy to diffuse it and all that.
yeah,
and have a
'cause-
conversation afterwards.
Yeah,
Sometimes
because
you
you
just
get to
feel
that
really
point?
good though after like throwing some punches, and then
yeah.
then you're just able to have a better conversation with them because I remember when I was like in 7th grade, there was just this one day where my neighbor was like pissing me off so much, and like we were all friends, a bunch of neighborhood kids, and just like right before he was about to go home, he just said something to me which I don't even remember what it was, and I just like pushed him down the floor, and then he fell over really. And like I didn't think of myself as being that strong, but at the same time I was spending like 2 hours swimming every single day, and so like I must have had some decent muscles because he fell over a lot faster than I thought he would have. And then
Michael,
I just started
you're strong as fuck. I think I like you're I arm wrestled you once. You're strong as fuck.
Oh shit! You're like a swimmer?
Yeah, I used to swim.
Oh wow, they're
Yeah, but
Like
hella-
Michael's shoulders are like broad and like he's got like that V shape body.
Oh
And,
shit!
like he's got the strong arms from the swimming and stuff. Like he's
Oh,
and,
shit.
and like you're like you're big bone too. Like the density of your like I was like when we were arm wrestling, I was like, man, my wrist looks really dainty to Michael. Michael's is like wider. Like damn, I
feel
want to
like
fucking
with
lose his arm
swimming,
wrestling match.
I feel like with swimming, it's one of those things where you develop this like V-shaped body, and even now, I think I still have that, but now it's just hiding under all the rolls of fat that I have. But
You
yeah,
and me
so
both.
yeah, I
Rolls of
know
fat.
it's old age.
Pandemic bodies, man.
Pandemic body is just sitting in the computer all day eating snacks. But I just remember I started dragging him on the floor, and like he just started crying.
Wait, you dragged him on the
I
floor?
was dragging him, yeah, because basically like
to beat him up?
so I pushed him over the floor, and then I think I maybe threw one punch max, and then he didn't really like defend himself, and I didn't want to like give him I didn't want to bloody him up either, so I just started like dragging him on like the road, and after a while
he was holding on to you.
He was holding on to me, yeah, or no, I was holding on to him. I must have been holding on to him, is what
Dang,
it was.
You're a bully.
This is only
Not
one
only
time.
did you
This is
drop
only-
him, you dropped him in one punch, and then you drag him.
No, the thing is, I didn't even push him. No, I didn't even punch him. So I pushed him over and then maybe threw one punch when he was on the floor. And then after that, I started to pull him a little bit, maybe like 2 feet.
Where were
and
you
then-
going?
Nowhere. I don't know where we were going.
I just want to know the destination of the
Like,
drag.
to your
Like,
grave.
But back at my point, after I, got all my anger out of me, we were like, are we cool? And he was like, yeah, I guess we're cool.
He said that out of fear now.
Maybe he did. But he went back into his house, and then we hung out like the next week, and we were all good, and we were all saying sorry and everything. So I guess he was like,
maybe he didn't expect you to actually fight back or something.
maybe
And
because
the shock of it just made him like curl up into a ball, like defense,
Yeah.
like fight or flight, and he just chose flight. I was like, oh shit, I didn't expect him to fight back.
maybe, I mean, like, I hope it wasn't because I'm Asian or anything, but I feel like for me, it's like, I'm not gonna get mad most of the time, or I feel like I'm not, I don't get that easily triggered, but like, if, the person keeps bothering me for a whole day after day, or maybe I'm just like in a bad mood or something, I am gonna like lash back on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone has their threshold. There's only so much of some sort of annoyance you can take before it just becomes like unbearable.
Can I
Yeah.
tell you guys a funny story that happened in physics class?
Go for
Go.
it.
Okay, so one kid was making fun of me, like you said, Michael, for a good like week or so. And then I'm not sure what he said, but I just like got up in the middle of physics class and I went right beside him and I kicked him in the neck.
In the neck?
I kicked him right here.
Oh shit! That's some
I did a
tough one,
roundhouse
though.
kick to the neck, and he just went boom, and then like he didn't fuck with me after that.
Oh fuck!
That is some kicking skills, because it's like, I don't think I could kick someone while they're standing,
No,
in
he was
the neck.
sitting. He was sitting.
Oh, he was sitting, but I mean, like, that's still like a good 4 feet in the air, I feel, to like, swing your leg like that. And props to you, Jay.
Oh man, you're
Nah.
born too early, man. I wish this happened now. You were in high school and there was like some sort of fucking TikTok video of this happening. Holy shit!
No, I had one in English class where there was a kid I sat in the front of the class, and then the kid sat in the back of the class, and then he was making the whole class like laugh at his racist jokes at me. So I got up while the teacher was like writing on the chalkboard, and I literally just walked to his seat, looked at him, and I grabbed his head and I just smashed it on the desk.
Oh
And-
fuck!
And then the teacher screamed my name and she was like, detention right now. And then when she was like, why did you do that? I told her like he was calling me all this crazy shit, like chink and China guy, China man, all this shit.
Mhm.
And then she's like, okay, don't do that again. And then that was it.
She's like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
know how to handle this.
She's like, they didn't teach me how to deal with racial things, like racial.
there's no racial
disturbances.
training.
Racial
And
training.
I honestly, I think she was caught off guard because I was the only, there were 2 Asian guys in the whole high school. So like I'm not sure if she was like she dealt with anything like that. And after that, me and her came like pretty cool. Like she was like my creative writing teacher, and and like she was really chill with me. Like she's like, don't you do that again. And I was like, "Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry."
She was like, Jay, instead of taking your anger out with physical force, put it down into your words. Like I want that same passion that you have in your fist. I want to see it on the paper and
And
inspire me.
I'm not advocating this honestly, but it did help me in a way that I didn't get bullied after that. Like they didn't like the whole time until that happened, they thought I was like this meek, chubby Asian
Right.
kid. And then
Yeah.
I was like, no, I can actually kick your face. And
Everyone in school is like, Jay knows kung fu. Don't
I
fuck with
I I
us.
I heard that too before in elementary school. Yeah. Like when I first immigrated, I heard that shit before.
Oh, like that they assumed that you knew martial arts
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha. Little did they know you
Um,
actually did taekwondo.
yeah, I can spar, I don't like to fight, but like I can defend, like no problem. But
Mhm.
I don't like looking for fights. Like that's not what I like to do. It's like
I don't think anyone does. Like
some
if
people do, man. No, I got
they're
into
in a
fight
bad
because they're
those people are in a bad place then if they're looking they already have some pent up energy and they're just trying to lash out somehow.
I feel like some guy was trying to pick a fight with me at Costco. Like, I was gassing up at Costco, right? And at Costco, there's like three, gas spots in each lane, right? Are you guys on the same page here? And
yeah.
so
Mhm.
basically, what happened was I parked my car in like the farthest third one, or the farthest, I guess, first one. And then there's a spot in the middle, and this Asian guy basically like has to parallel park into the spot in the middle. And the moment he comes out of the car, he's like, it would have been nicer if you had given me more space. And, I'm looking at the spot that he parked into. It's clearly like 20 feet, right? And so basically, I'm like, excuse me, sir, like, what did you say? And I want to go and basically pick a fight with him at Costco, but it's like the beginning of COVID, and we're all wearing masks, and so I don't want to get too close and basically look like I'm insulting this Asian guy, and I also don't want to get
Asian on Asian
coronavirus as
crime.
well. I know like that's the last thing that we all needed to have, at the beginning of COVID. But I just remember thinking like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, why is he saying this? Like, how bad of a driver are you? Like, there's literally 20 feet for you to parallel park in here. Like, I really wanted to go up and like, look him straight in the eye, kind of like in the Fast
How old
movies.
was he?
He was like this 40-year-old man. Like he had a Seattle license plate, and he was maybe
He's
on
from out of
vacation
town.
with his wife or something, because she was just sitting in the passenger seat. And like as I was speaking over to him, and I getting closer and walking closer to him, like I realized he stopped making eye contact with me. He was just focused very much on gassing up, and he would get meeker and say things like, yeah, you heard what I said, and stuff like this, while I was getting closer and closer to him, while trying to stay 6 feet apart, since I don't want to
Swim, motherfucker! I swim, butterfly stroke, bitch. Like,
but this was like last year. I'm like, who the heck are you? Like, what's wrong with you today? I mean, maybe he had a bad day as well, but I mean, I was just pissed off. I don't know.
For sure he had a bad day. I think when
Yeah.
people explode like that, it's like some sort of pent up shit that they just happen to just boil over in that particular moment. And the fact that he stood down and started like getting meeker and meeker, like the more he was able to process everything that was happening then and there, he was going through some shit. But I don't know. I mean, obviously pandemic shit, maybe personal like with the wifey type shit. I don't know. Whatever the fuck.
Maybe he just thought that, oh, there's this like Asian boy, I can take my anger out on him. But I showed him, you can't mess with me.
So when I was in college in Canada, I got into a fight with 3 Caucasian guys coming out of a nightclub.
Yeah, you get into a lot of fights.
Dang.
Dude, I'm not looking for fights, dude. Just come at me. Okay. This is what happened. Okay. Like we were at a billiard, like me and like the 30 of us. There's literally like fucking 30 of us. They were all Hellside kids. And then they were all kind of like refuging in our dorm basically, because 2 of our roommates were like really fucking smart. So they all come to our spot and they chill and study, copy others' answers and shit like that. And one of them was it was their birthday. So we went to like a billiards, had some fun, and then we're walking back to our dorm. And then while we're walking back, there's a nightclub that had like Asian night. I swear it was Asian night. 3 guys got kicked out of there. 3 white guys. They were pissed. Then
Because
they
they were
crossed.
Asian.
I don't
They're not
know.
Asian.
I don't know.
That's pretty racist.
This is pretty racist, yeah. So they walk past us, and then they keep looking back, and I'm like kind of like weirded out by them. So I look back again, and then on the 3rd time they start running at us, like 3 of them.
Mhm.
And then I take my glasses off and I give it to my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, "Yo, some shit's about to go down."
Mhm.
And then I look at the other side, and 30 of like who we were with, they're all fucking dipping.
Oh shit.
And it's literally me, my the girlfriend at the time, and then 2 other guys.
Mhm.
And one of them was my roommate, and the other guy was like just like a acquaintance.
Mhm.
They come up to us. One guy, there's 3 of them. One super short, like maybe 5 foot, and then the other 2 guys are really tall.
Mhm.
So the tall guy comes up to me. All 3 of us are like kind of one-on-one against each other.
Yeah.
And then he goes like, "What the fuck you say? What are you fucking looking at us?" And I was like, "I'm not looking at you." I was like, "I was just looking at like around you. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about." And as soon as my friend gets attacked, like he got shoved, right? I kicked the guy in front of me. The other guy tried to come at me, and then he tried to throw me on the road.
Mhm.
And then I reverse him onto the ground.
Oh.
And then on the 3rd guy, the smallest guy, he comes at me with like a fucking knife.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
And the knife was like long as my like your elbow to your wrist. It was big.
It sounds
like
like
a
a machete or
machete.
something.
Yeah.
It was no,
machete.
it was cameled out. I remember it was cameled out, and you could buy these things at like Hunter Express or whatever at like
Right.
malls
It's
and
for
shit
killing
like that.
animals, like
Yeah.
when you go hunting.
So he literally pulled that out of his fucking Canada Goose jacket, and I was like, "Fuck that!" So I just went on defense mode, like,
Yeah.
and I literally like was backing up. I remember like backing up to Wendy's,
Uh-huh.
and I banged on the window because there were workers in there, and they saw me getting like attacked by 3 guys, and they're like, "No, we're closed." Like, literally left me in the fucking dark.
We don't want none of this.
Yeah, none of
Keep
this.
us out of this.
Yeah. So
Very bad for Wendy's PR.
I backtracked and backtracked and backtracked, like literally defending kicks and shit. And then I went into it's almost like a Canadian TGIF, right? It's like Eastside Mario's, I think that's what it's called. And fucking crowded everywhere, right? Like everybody's there. And I was like, holy shit, like I thought I was gonna get killed. And then I see my friends and we're all like laughing. I'm like, man, I can't believe we just got into that shit. Like, I can't believe that. And then all of a sudden my head gets grabbed and then get like, I remember it hit like my head hitting the table.
Damn.
And then they got tackled by the people,
who?
by the security inside the restaurant.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And then they ran away. And then that whole fucking summer, bro, I had to like try to, like, I went to the cops. They would pull me in. And they were like, was it this guy? Was it this guy? Or was it that guy? And by that time, I had no fucking idea. So I couldn't say. I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to put the wrong guy in. I can't. So I just said, I don't know. And I left.
Dang.
But yeah,
That's
like,
crazy. That's very that's fucking awesome of you not to just pick a guy randomly.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know, like if that happened to me, and I'm not very vengeful, but like if I was in, I could imagine if I was in the right vengeful mood, I just want some guy to.
No,
just,
I kicked him out of like I was scared.
Yeah.
I didn't kick him because like I wanted to attack him. I kicked him because like I was like scared of what was happening right in front of me. Because my friend got like pushed hard. So I was like, nah, like I'm not gonna get pushed hard. You know what I mean? So I just like, but yeah, don't fight people, man.
Don't fight.
Don't fight. Don't get into fights. It's not worth it.
It's crazy. So Jay, having gone through these types of experiences in your life, how do you feel about the recent attacks then? And everything that's happening, all these, like fight, don't fight?
I feel like you have to stand up for yourself. Like,
yeah.
In what capacity?
I mean, like, I think when someone's attacking you, like, it's a little bit late because it's like at that point, it's like, they may get you, they may not. You may have a weapon on you, you may not. But like even the grandma who defended herself, she looks pretty bad. It's pretty sad to see
It was
how
like two
like
black eyes.
yeah,
It was like
and
right across her. Like it was like this. Like it's just
Yeah.
bruised.
but I think it's like putting out the idea that we're not just this ethnicity to be messed with. I think that goes a long way. I don't. I mean, I see a lot of people talking about like, oh yeah, like now is the time to arm up. I don't know if I'm on that same side. I mean, like, I'm all
No.
for like gun rights, but like I know I'm very clumsy. I'm probably more likely to shoot myself by accident than to actually shoot the person. I mean, like, but I
At
mean
least you're
that is
honest.
yeah, no, I mean, I feel like it's just like I'm a little bit afraid to have a gun in my house like that. And I know a lot of other people would disagree with me. Maybe I should go buy some mace or something. But I mean, I think it's more about like
I think a lot
putting
of
out
people
this
would disagree with
image.
you and also agree with you. The whole
Yeah.
gun rights thing is so like seems like it's very split. Even people that I knew that were against guns before are like somewhat for guns now. So it's like it's very very split,
Yeah, I
So
mean,
especially
I knew a lot of
here like in California. It's like
Casey, so
a lot.
you answering your question about like, should we fight or should we not fight, all this stuff. I mean, it's really tricky because it's a lot more nuanced than just saying you should fight or not. It's like, yes, you should definitely stand up for yourself. Yes, you should fight for yourself. Yes, but not in a violent way that you might get hurt, or not in a way that you might get other people hurt, right? And there's a way to fight. Maybe it's even like putting a fucking camera on them. If somebody's being racist in front of you, just put on this live. It's gonna save. It's gonna save, and then people are gonna fucking see it. Having a record of that usually turn people off. I see. Like a lot of those fucking Torrance Karens or whatever. Like, actually, she didn't fucking stop. But having that is great for like to raise awareness.
yeah.
And I really don't recommend fighting. I really don't. I really don't. I
Me
don't.
neither. I don't condone
I
fighting.
if you're young and you get into some fucking fight, whatever, but like if you're old and you know better, you shouldn't be getting into fights. You know what I mean? And like it's only gonna create more hate amongst each other, and that's not what we fucking need right now. What we need right now is for people to understand how difficult this may be. Like you said, Casey, it's not about Asian people talking to other Asian people like, yeah, we gotta do like this has to stop. No, it's about other races who are mistreating us, them seeing this shit, them taking accountability and making actions proactively after that. If we just keep on talking about it, it's just gonna be crying wolf. Of course, it's our issue. Of course, it's an issue that's close to us, but it's a big responsibility for the other side to understand that.
Not to
That makes
say
sense.
that it is yours or ours responsibility to educate them, because there's a lot of emotional labor when it comes to like making someone see your plight. But what are your thoughts about the best way to show them like this is what's happening?
I think the best way is when these types of attacks happen, if you can record them in any way, I think that's very helpful because it creates an actual like a visual and a sense of like rawness that like you can't get it from just like people talking about it, right? It's different when people just say like, yo, this crazy thing happened, as opposed to you show them. You show them, and people like what I imagine is that like those people who are bigots or those people who don't fully understand that they are being racist, hopefully these videos will make them understand that, yeah, this is an example of fucking bigotry. Yes, this is an example of fucking racism, straight up. And there's no place for that now. Maybe there was 100 years ago, guys, but not fucking anymore.
Or maybe they could get away with it 100 years ago, but now
Right.
that it's all being recorded, I mean, because I feel like it's not that the fact that it's happening less, it's just it's I feel like it's always been happening, and maybe it's even getting worse now, I don't know. But like the fact that it's being recorded, I agree with you, Jay. Like we're able to kind of show this record and to get people to really change their behavior, whether it's out of fear that they're going to be recorded, or I don't know, but like I think I agree with you there. Like just
and I would recommend like If you're if you feel unsafe, like male or female, like a self-defense class is not a bad thing to take, you know? And self-defense is not, you're not taking it to attack people, you're taking it to defend yourself, you know? And being prepared for that is different than having a gun. I'll be straight honest, you know? Having good footwork, like having good sense of like hand-eye coordination. That's really important when you get into those type of situations. And you know, if you have the capacity to learn it, I suggest you recommend you would, because it creates a sense of like self-defense for yourself, you know, and
Plus confidence as well, because
self-confidence. Yeah,
you're able to defend yourself, and you become athletic, and you develop like a new confidence in yourself that you are
yeah.
important.
Just be like Michael. Just swim like fucking every day. You'll get that like buff fucking shoulders. Nobody will fuck with you.
I think
But
the confidence of doing well in sports and, you know, martial arts, it really does translate over to other areas of your life in terms of like, you know, how you look on the world and how other people see you as well, because they see this confident person who knows that they're confident, so they're less likely to mess with you.
Yeah, and if I look back at like my Taekwondo master, like it's interesting that whatever he taught, like me at least, even in the school and outside of school, it was always about how to be a better person. It wasn't about how to kick better or how to kick stronger or
Or
how to
beat someone up.
yeah, or how to beat someone up. No, it was never like that. It was always about like virtuosity. It was about patience. It was about like understanding each other. Like, and I was like, what the fuck is that? I came here to kick, motherfucker. What you know, and
Where's this virtue bullshit?
yeah. And you know, that's when I learned how to meditate like as a young kid, and I felt like chi, like I could compress snowball like chi, you know. And yeah, you're right, like it really does help you view the world differently. Yeah,
That's true. Just awareness of yourself, awareness of your physical body, all that stuff. Yeah, it goes a
yeah,
long, long way, I think, in terms of, yeah, like what Michael was saying, like how you perceive yourself and how others perceive you, just, you know, from your body language and everything. So it's really, really good advice. What do you guys think about people? So like even within the Asian community, there's a lot of different opinions on how to handle things, right? Especially how to react to what's happening right now to Asian America. And you know, I've seen like some people don't believe in the hashtag stop Asian crime or whatever, or Asian hate crime. People don't believe in the hashtags. They don't believe in creating more awareness because it doesn't actually solve the problem. You could argue that it might even exacerbate the issue. Like with more of this creates more division, you know, especially for the so-called racists. You know, the more they see it, the more they might even just have more resentment towards it, you know. What's your thoughts on those?
Michael.
I think when I see all this discussion, it kind of reminds me of Asian parenting a little bit. It's like you tell your mom how excited you are about something or how sad you are about something. And then the first thing that she says is like, oh, well, you should have done this better. I feel like, you know, right now, you know, everyone or most people are trying, you know, in their best way to put forward that like, you know, something really bad happened. We need to stand up for ourselves. We need to like put out these hashtags. And then you have people saying like, oh, we shouldn't put out the hashtags because it's not as effective as it could be. Or, you know, we should change the, you know, stop AAP I hate hashtag to, you know, white supremacy is bad hashtags. And it's like, yeah, I think that, you know, may be the truth there. But at the same time, I feel like any type of publicity is, you know, better to get the message out there than no publicity. And it's like, it does suck that our message is a little bit disjointed. And I think that's something that we need to work on, and maybe just, you know, most marginalized people have to work on like how do we get out this very uniform messaging into the world? And I don't even know if it's possible, but I think it's the fact that there's so much discussion about it whether or not we're using the right hashtags or getting the right messaging. I think most of us are on the same page that, we're trying to raise up Asian Americans' place in America, and, to get the world to really see us in the way that we want to be seen.
Yeah, I think you're right. To me, it really doesn't matter how you feel about the hashtags or what kind of, like, in the immediate. It doesn't matter what the progress is, even if it seemingly feels like it might actually create more division. I think the conversation is important, because no matter what, as long as there's conflict, the conversation needs to be had, and I think the greatest analogy is if you go micro with it, your own relationship with another person. It doesn't have to be even a racial thing. It could be like your girlfriend or your father, your mother. If you have tension in these types of relationships, the only way to get things done, for better or for worse, is to talk about it, dissect it, analyze it, and hope that there is some sort of needle being pushed in either direction. Hopefully it's for the better. But if staying in one place only creates more resentment, staying in one place only creates this like this confusion. And that confusion is toxic as fuck, man. So I think this conversation piece is so important, and I think if more people could just see that, I think that'd be fucking awesome for all of us.
I will agree though that I think some of the criticism that's being directed towards the movement, maybe especially by the ultra woke criticism amongst the Asian community, the Asian American community, I don't think the timing is great, because it's like right now we need to I think come together, and obviously, we have a lot of differences, but I think like when you have a bunch of people yelling at, the Asian Americans who are, trying really hard to, raise us up as a group, about how we're not doing it correctly at this time when we're the most vulnerable, I think that's not a great look, personally.
I think what needs to happen, I completely agree with both you guys' side. And to add on top of it, I think accountability needs to be taking place. I think people need to start acknowledging that, yeah, like these things were used as scapegoats. These things aren't inaccurate. But because of the makeup of like how people are now, they'll never take that accountability because they're so prideful. And I don't have a good view on it. I think I do feel that over time, once our population grows bigger and once we have bigger voices, and it has to be like almost like a movement. It can't be just like one thing that happens at once. It has to be like a lot of things happening at once.
Yeah.
And I would love to see like other ethnicities taking more empathetic approach to this, because it's sad because I mean, I'm not gonna group anybody, but it's, how do I say this delicately, man? How do I fucking say this?
It's hard. These are hard conversations. These are like, there's, I don't know, finding the right way to say it's hard.
I got it. I feel like minorities need to stick together. Wherever they come from, because I feel like we can relate to each other. Like the hardships that like different cultures go through, I think, yes, we can't fully 100% like understand them, but we have the capacity where we can relate to them, right? And if we build that bond together, man, like we're a strong unit. But everybody divided is a weak ass individual unit, And I would like to see more people like coming together and say like, hey, yeah, this is something that we need to fix, instead of just putting a fucking hashtag bullshit picture up on your Instagram. Fuck that. You don't think we could see through that bullshit? Yo, it takes 1 minute to see through that bullshit. Literally. All your links
it's
are
almost
there.
like there's a part of my analysis of like the hashtags too, and like the pictures and reposting, posting, there's a part of it that almost feels like, oh, it's a trendy thing to do. So
Yeah.
we should do it. I should do it. I should join the trend, and it sucks to think that, uh, people's hurt is your trend,
Yeah.
but I think that's, I think that's it's how some people are viewing it. And I don't know, but then it's like, but does that move the needle though? Is that okay?
I
Is
feel like
that
it does, because it's like you're still giving visibility to the issue. And kind of on the flip side, Jay, I was inspired by you, so I went on Reddit this past week to see what's being said about different issues. And some people that I read on Reddit were like, if my favorite celebrity wasn't posting about it, then I'm gonna go and unfollow them, because I feel like they don't represent who I am. They're not doing their part to push forward this issue. And it's like, I do agree, though. It kind of sucks that it's become like a trend. It's like, you have to, are you doing it because you want to ride the trend, be seen by your fan base that, you're in support, and you may not even care, who knows,
Yeah.
right? I think it's a complicated issue, though, which I feel like, but ultimately, by putting out these stories, amplifying the things that are out there, I think it helps, because it's like the more people see it, the more that we're keeping at the forefront of the discussion.
true? Very true. And then
You need
just
to
to
make
kind of,
sorry, go ahead, Casey.
I was just gonna. I mean, this doesn't really have anything to do with what we're talking about, but just kind of building off of what Michael said about people unfollowing people because they don't share the same viewpoint. If you're listening and you do that, stop doing that, because don't create an echo chamber for yourself. It's healthy to have opposing thoughts or silence. It makes you think. It makes you wonder. It makes you fucking, like, actually critically think about the issue. Like, why is this person not saying anything about it? Whatever, and think about it. Let it sit with you. If it's unsettling, let it be unsettling. But I think it's you gotta have that. You can't just silence any avenue of things that don't make you feel validated or heard. Doesn't actually move the needle, in my opinion. It doesn't actually
So
make you any stronger. It actually makes you weaker, because then when you do come face to face with something that is opposite of you or complicit, to your standards, then you're gonna just crumble or get angry. But the anger is you crumbling. It's your character crumbling. Your grace and dignity is crumbling to whatever you don't understand. And I think that's the worst thing you could do, especially in the social media space.
and to build on top of that, like I think I think what we lack right now is critical thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have critical thinking, and let's go through that, what Michael just said of, I'm gonna unfollow you because you have opposing thoughts as me. So you telling me that people can't be individualistic? People can't have their own free thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
People can't make mistakes? What kind of fucking person is that?
Yeah.
You want a robot to follow? Are you telling me you're a robot? I don't get it. Like, like, people are allowed to make mistakes. People are allowed to get out of holes that they put themselves in, or whatever the fuck. Yo, that's human nature, man. But like, for you to judge people like that and say like, I'm not associating with this person because of that, because I don't like, because of what, that specific thing, that's childish.
Yeah. Yeah. It's avoidant. In my therapy sessions with my therapist, they would call this behavior avoidant, and it's never a
Avoidant.
good thing. Yeah. You're avoiding conflict, and to have conflict is to, go through the fire to seek resolution, to find a solution to it. And if you avoid it, you'll never find that solution.
I mean, like, not to give them, to justify them or anything, but people who are unfollowing people, I do kind of also understand where they're coming from.
Oh, for sure. I definitely understand it. Yeah.
Like, oftentimes they feel very left out of the conversation, and it's like they're probably getting a lot of messaging that they're wrong in one way or another. And so it's like, it makes sense that they don't want to see that anymore, that they want to band together around like-minded people on Reddit.
Absolutely.
It's
You love Reddit, huh?
You like it?
I started diving down a few threads just to kind of
Careful,
understand.
buddy.
Yeah, I
Be
mean, it's
careful.
very interesting and it's very fascinating, but it's also a little bit scary just to
It's
see
super scary.
the how opinionated some of these people are.
And they're supposed to have their own opinions, and it's okay for them to have those opinions. But as soon as they start like attacking and belittling other like people and races, that's when it gets wrong,
Yeah.
and a lot of people abuse that power because of the power of being anonymous, right? And I don't think a lot of people would say that shit face to face.
Hell no.
I dare you. I
Hell
dare
no.
you.
There's probably a lot more fights if they were.
No, yeah.
Somehow you seem to be able to find all those people yourself, Jay.
That was a young Jay. Not anymore.
Oh, okay.
I'm okay now, bro. I haven't gotten into a fight in a long time. I don't think I ever got into a fight in America.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, nice. That's
straight
good.
up. You know why? Because I'm afraid of guns.
Because everyone's armed here.
Yeah,
The
that's
chances
just-
of having a gun here. Yeah, it's true.
But also like why fight? Like you can talk most things out now.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's true.
De-escalate with your words.
with your comedy.
It's kind of funny
Comedy.
that before we started this podcast, the last interaction that Jay and I had was a big shouting match over the phone. And when Casey asked me if I wanted to do a podcast with Jay, like that's literally all I kept thinking about.
Yeah,
It
me
was
too.
like, oh shit, the last time I
That's
talked to Jay, it was pretty bad,
And I
like,
wasn't even aware of this conversation.
it's kind of funny that the only two people who have had experience fighting, obviously we fought each other, I guess. And
verbally.
verbally, exactly. But I remember like yelling at him on the phone. I like hung up on him. And then like Jade called me back and was like, Michael, he was trying to reason, but I just wasn't having it. And
shit.
sorry, Jay.
Jay,
but
you've seen Angry Michael. That's a rare sighting.
Yeah, Angry Michael is very fast. He talks very fast. He doesn't let up. Like there's no reasoning with Angry Michael. And yeah, I was scared. I was like, what's going on right now, man? I don't understand.
Oh shit, that's tight.
Do my job.
That's like no Asian on Asian crime, guys, please.
Yeah, no Asian and Asian crime. Let's we don't condone that at all. We know
Yeah, it's funny because like even with what you said, that whole thing diffused as soon as we had that test talk. You know what I mean? Like we had that test conversation on Zoom, and even before getting into the conversation, you just like straight up squashed that shit. And for you to do that, like that was like my respect for you went like hella high.
Yeah, it takes balls to
You know what I mean?
squash
Yeah.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
thank
and
you,
then
Jay.
yeah, no, dude, and no,
That's
you
called
for
not being avoidant, man.
yeah, thank you for being like honest and cool with me about everything, and like after that I was like, yeah, I would love to do the podcast with him because like I was super hesitant before, like you.
Yeah. I think that's what made me feel good about it as well too, that we were able to talk about it, get over it, and move on. And it's like we were kind of able to use that as a base. So I just left Jay hanging.
Oh, I want some of this.
That we were able to use that as a foundation for more conversations where we're vulnerable with one another. I feel like that really set a good basis for where we want to take things.
Agreed.
Conversation is key. Yeah, I'm glad you guys worked it out, man. Glad you guys worked it out. And but yeah, I think we're gonna close out this first episode. And for those of you guys that are listening, I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode, and we will try to post as often as we can. And like we said in the beginning, this is a podcast for Asian American culture issues, awareness, all that good stuff. And it's just something that, weighs heavily, I think, on Asian America right now, especially. And I think it's time to open up more conversations about it, dissect it, analyze it, understand it, love it, care for it, nurture it, and grow from it. And
most importantly, to tornado kick it.
To tornado kick it. Write in the comments down below what you think of the name, because the name was the hardest thing to ever fucking
Well, we gotta get
names,
some
man.
fucked up comments. Why'd you go with that? Why this?
Yeah, what does that mean? What do you it's
I
just
think the
fucking
real
fun, man.
question
It sounds
is,
cool.
why would we not go with it? Exactly, because it
True.
sounds cool. You know, who wouldn't want to
Oh,
tornado
man.
kick something?
True.
So I fucked up my leg. All right.
Yeah, it's how Jay fucked up his leg. I took martial arts too, and tornado kicks were one of the funnest things to do. It's one of the coolest things I could do in martial arts, because like I did wushu and I never could do like butterfly twists or anything like that. But I championed the one-legged tornado kick in wushu, and I was like,
Ooh.
I'm so cool.
Damn, we have to shoot that in slow-mo for you, bro.
I don't
Maybe
think I
that
could
should
do it
be our
anymore,
intro.
man. It's been 15 years since the last tornado kick, successful
It's
one
like
too.
it's like a riding a bike. You can do it.
No, I might hurt my leg like you, man.
All right. Have a good week, everybody, and see you guys next time.
Yeah, stay
See you
safe
guys
out
next
there.
time.